Appreciate you hanging out with us on all of our feeds worldwide. YouTube.com/wakeupcalldt, Facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and can't appreciate it enough. So happy to be here with you. Happy to be here in studio. We had a week of fantastic specials last week. I had the opportunity to go through actually before last week on Friday, May 26th, to have Kingsley Jonathan join the show to tell his story of coming from Nigeria to Baltimore, Maryland, to the Syracuse Orange, and then on to the NFL, spending much of his time with the Buffalo Bills and now back with the Bills in year 2. So Kingsley Jonathan's story, you definitely want to check that out. And then had the wonderful pleasure of having Dolphin Dive over-deliver with multiple conversations. We're doing a series called The Road to D1 inside of our Dolphin Dive with the coaches at Lemoyne College as they shift from Division II to Division I. So you got to hear from Lemoyne Swimming and Diving, men's and women's swimming and diving head coach Adam Zakowski. Then you heard from Tracy Roman, the Lemoyne Dolphins softball head coach, and the Lemoyne Dolphins men's and women's cross country and track and field head coach Robin Wheelis. And that all led into the end of the week, which is my one-on-one conversation with DeAndre Smith, former Syracuse running backs coach, who is now working with the Indianapolis Colts, Jonathan Taylor and company. So a lot of great stuff. Definitely don't want to miss it. Go back, check it out, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. While you're there, click subscribe. You can also find it on the timeline on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. And we had our first ever team member piece of our Northern Spotlight series. So definitely check that out. North Country Spotlight, I should say. The North Country Spotlight, which is our exclusive series with Chick-fil-A Watertown. We got to have our first team member on there, which I'm so grateful to Ann Brooks for that. We have another one airing today at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, and that's going to feature Tristan Walker, him telling his story. So definitely don't miss out on that in the North Country Spotlight. So a lot of great stuff that has happened over the last week plus on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and much to come this week as well, as we have a jam-packed week. And we'll start off the week as we do every single week inside of MonPawsPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', bringing you DT and Murphy, Brendan Murphy and myself, Dan Tortora, here with you on Mondays to talk about the goings-on of the sports world and life in general. We're going to have a bunch of baseball topics here for you today, as well as the NFL. But before we get to any of that, as Murph is picture-in-picture with me, I do want to send out my prayers, my well wishes, and my hopes to Tiana Mangakahia. Now, Tiana played for Syracuse Orange women's basketball, and as she was here on the women's basketball team, many of you know her story and know that she fought cancer, beat cancer, and continued to play, and then went on to have a professional career. Well, Tiana just put out information, and I'm going to share it here. She said, "I never thought I'd be writing this until I was ready to have children with my future husband. However, here we go. Basketball has been a part of my life for the past 23 years. The experience I have endured and the amount of joy this amazing sport has brought me is too overwhelming to explain. Without going into too much detail, I've recently been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, which has spread into other areas of my body. Sadly, I have been informed by specialists it's time for me to retire and think about life after being a professional athlete. I would like to thank everyone who has been a part of my journey. I've had so many great teammates and coaches who have taught me many life lessons. There have been ups and downs throughout my career and life. I know regardless of this horrible disease, I will continue to be me and surround myself with those who love and support me." So I wanted this morning, before we went anywhere, to send our love, our prayers, our well wishes, and our support to Tiana Mangakahia. And, you know, Tiana, just an uplifting spirit, a positive person. Whether you're a fan of the world of basketball or not, whether you watched her play or not, the simple truth is she easily has inspired people, easily has brought people together and put smiles on people's faces. The fight that she's had continues, Unfortunately, there's a new fight to be had. And yes, I believe in God. Yes, I believe that God has our back and God is always here for us. No, I can't answer the questions of why sometimes, and I can't answer the question of why with this today. But what I can tell you is that Tiana is a fighter. She is a strong person. She's a loving person. She's a caring person. And she's somebody whose smile has that childlike effect that just makes you want to smile. So, Tiana, today and every day, you have our support, you have our love, and you have our prayers, and whatever else we could do. I pray to God that she may have the best doctors, the best medicine, the state of the art everything, the amount of money to pay for all of it, and for money to not be an issue. And that somehow, some way, we could talk about good news moving forward with Tiana. So, by the grace of God, I pray in His name. Amen. And let's just hope and continue for the best for Tiana. So, with that being said, we welcome you into Wake Up Call, and I thank you for allowing me to take this time because we needed to. Mr. Murph, how we doing?
Doing well. Sending some thoughts and prayers over her way as well. We had the week off last week, obviously, for Memorial Day. I hope you had a good one.
Yeah, I did. Thank you very much. It was, you know, my Memorial Day was spent at Disney Springs, so down in Florida. And for those of you that know me and have known me well, my I've had some stuff with my like throat and my vocals and my allergies and whatnot, so I've had to take certain breaks, which is really like atypical and weird for me to do. So I have tried to take some time for myself, got myself down to Florida a couple times, and, I got to spend Memorial Day, just kind of hanging out. And it was nice, man. It was really nice. And I got to eat some really good seafood while I was down in Florida. I got to go to Gideon's again, who have some killer cookies. And I got to ride Guardians of the Galaxy and Tron, and I got to walk around Epcot's Flower and Garden Festival and see some amazing sights. It's a beautiful work by some incredibly inspired and artistic people. And I got to eat some really good food from the Flower and Garden Festival, which has turned into like a mini food and wine festival, and I love it for that. So yeah, I mean, it's been good, man. I bought some watches. And there's that question that people ask you in rapid fire sometimes on the shows, like, "What's the most expensive thing you've ever bought?" And I mean, obviously, in my case, it was an engagement ring. But when it comes down to like for myself, I bought some watches this past week, and your boy doesn't spend like I spent. But there was a deal of like buy two get four free, and so my watch
At
collection.
four free.
Yes, yes. So my watch collection has expanded in a big old way. And when we take a fast break, I'll go into the office and I'll grab them and I will do some show and tell because I got some watches, man. And my bank account, I was like, ooh, but I'm all right. I'm okay. So
I checked my bank account after I bought some of these things behind me. Those are all those graded cards I've been buying.
yeah,
It didn't do so well.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I feel
but
it.
yeah, so we could definitely do a little show and tell when you have that going on because I've definitely added some stuff to it
Good, yeah,
since
man.
the last time we spoke.
You know what it is though. I thought two things when I bought those watches. I thought to myself, I was like, all right, you know what? I deserve it. I work really hard. Like I'm not mad at myself, and I honestly, I was sitting there like, should I do this? Can I do this? And I was going back and forth about it, and then I just got that feeling where God was like, you got this, man. Like I got you. Like you're gonna be fine. You got stuff coming around the corner. You're gonna be good. So, I felt that like go do that, Daniel. Your money's gonna be fine. And it's not like it was anything crazy, crazy where it's like, you have no money afterwards. It's not like that. I don't want to paint that picture. It was just expensive.
Crazy word.
And so, but doing it, it was nice to do it. It was nice to do something nice for myself, and I'm happy that I did it. And, but I mean, it is like, I don't spend like that. And that's just me. So I did get some stuff down in Disney, and I did do some things. And you know what I realized too, Murph, is that, and I need to take an aside for this to mention this, there's a couple things I don't miss about dating, if you'll oblige me here. Because I realized one of them I totally forgot about, and now I know why I forgot about it, because it's horrible. So, what I don't miss about dating is, and this is no offense to people, because listen, not everybody's like this, okay? But what I don't miss about dating is the nagging. I don't miss the nagging. I don't miss the, are you going to listen to that on your radio right now? Can I change the channel? Why did you wear that? You really like that hat? Those glasses? Or the other thing I don't like is when the check comes and she's just sitting there texting. And I was like, you want to contribute anything? You want to put a donation into the what is it? When you pass that thing at church, you want to put anything into the basket? And she's like, nah. So I will tell you. And now I'm not a cheapskate. But I go on some nice dinners or do some nice things. And the thing is, it's like, you go out, you eat, they order this, that, whatever. But I'll tell you what I don't miss, and I really don't miss when the check comes, because this is what I got recently. I got the, do you want me to give you any money? Now, this was an expensive dinner, mind you. And I was like, well, I said, why don't you give what you want to give? And that's fine. I said, I'm not going to tell you what to give, because I'm not that type of guy. Like, you give what you want to give, and whatever you feel is good, that's fine. She said, well, do you want me to give you half? Or do you want me to pay the tip? Obviously, half is more than the tip. So I said, do what you want to do. And then she went, I'm going to leave the tip. And then she was trying to justify leaving less of a tip. So now you're not paying half. And now you want to take that not half that you're paying, break it down more and go, okay, so do I give her 20 or do I give her 18? And I'm like, really? So I don't miss, because I'm looking at that side of it, and I'm like, man, going out on dates is expensive, and I didn't miss that. I mean, you go out on like 2-3 dates, you're spending $200. And so I didn't miss that, and I didn't miss the nagging. I didn't miss the constant conversation about me and the decisions I make in my life, what I wear, because I'm not out there hurting anybody. I consider myself a good person. But Murph, for someone who's, kind of not dating right now, I'll tell you something. I promise you, you're not going to miss somebody asking you why you live the life the way you live your life. And you're not going to miss paying for stuff and have them go, oh, the bill's $105. Would you like a quarter? So, I don't miss that.
Oh, man. And all the dating stuff that comes across like TikTok these days.
Yeah.
You see the girls who like automatically expect the guy to pay for the first date, and sure, usually I would think that would be. I mean, every first date I've been on, I've always paid.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
But
not the 9th date or the 17th.
Yeah, exactly. But they have such high standards.
Oh yeah,
and get on us when we do. So. Have you ever seen there's the one video on TikTok. This girl is like, and I hate to describe her this way, but she is one of the heaviest, ugliest girls I've ever laid eyes on in my entire life. And she tries to justify the fact she goes, "Oh, I can have any guy I want to," and then there's a little baby in the back seat of the car, saying, "Bulls," and it literally says it like 5 times, and it follows almost. It's a meme now, and it's hysterical.
Yeah, I mean, but
like people like that, they're like,
yeah,
what guy is gonna want to date you for anything other than your personality?
Well, and that's, I mean, the thing that frustrates me is that there's this like level, and I don't know what it is, Brendan, but there's a rule of 3. And I've talked to people about this before. And I've talked to somebody who's like a therapist, And I said to him, I said, is there any truth to the rule of three? And he goes, what's the rule of three? I never heard of it. And I said, oh, well, that's fun. Maybe I made it up. So I told him the rule of three, and he goes, I can't prove or disprove, and I can't say that it's a foolproof thing, but like you've experienced it. And the rule of three is 3 weeks, or pardon me, 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. That within a 3-day, 3-week, 3-month period, someone that you are dating will show you who they are, who they really are. So after 3 dates, they start to lose that facade, or after 3 weeks, they start to lose that facade, or after 3 months. I experienced this. I experienced it very recently. Of everything was okay for the most part for about 3 or 4 weeks, and then it went away. It was okay for the first 3 dates, and then it went away. So there's this rule of three where people start to lose it, right? It's kind of like when Ursula loses Ariel's voice. You start to see her for who she is. It's when that witch loses the potion in Snow White, and you start to realize who she is. So, I don't know why people do it. I don't know why men and women put on this facade for a certain amount of time and think that they can hook somebody. But it's like, it comes across to me like a Disney movie. It's like the potion wears off, and they're like, do you still want me? No, of course I don't. And so, I mean, I like, to see this and to witness it the way that I've witnessed it, it's awful. It's awful. And you spend all this money and spend all this time. So I came up with this idea called dating retribution. And what I want for this is that I have this belief that in the dating world, we should, or no, I'm sorry, not retribution. That's a punishment word. It's a Monday. So it's dating reparations. So what I want for dating is dating reparations. I would like there to be a system in the government, since there's free money given out all the time and they just print more. I would like for there to be dating reparations, which within a certain period of time, in a certain system that meets certain criteria, you can get paid back a percentage of the money that you wasted on someone who faked who they were and abused your time. So I believe in dating reparations. Like, hey, you're going to get back 12% of the money that you spent on food. Because I look back on this is my thing. I never think about money and what I spent on something unless it's something that was bad, or it wasted my time, or they abused the privilege of it, or whatever it may be. And in the recent case, they did. And I went back and I went, look at how much money I spent. I look like I just went on a cruise for a family of 4. And for what? You know what I mean? For what? Because I want to do something nice, because I want to give of myself. And I work hard for my money and I save my money. But it's crazy to see what's out there and the amount of time that's wasted. And I would rather somebody just see, I have this belief that a person, a man or a woman, should show you their crazy face when you meet them. Like when you walk up to a girl and you go, oh my God, she's gorgeous, but her insides are really like, I want to see that face so that I don't, so I don't waste my time with it, because the facade stuff is just awful. And I'll tell you what, Brendan, I totally forgot about the nagging. When it comes to dating, I totally forgot about the nagging. I forgot about the you're eating your favorite snack and she asks for half of it, but she eats almost all of it. And then she doesn't want you to play your music, and she questions this and she questions that. And then, I mean, like, I'm down in Disney and I'm like, hey, we're going in the front row. I don't want to go in the front row. I was like, I don't care. I'm going in the front row. I always ride this ride in the front row. And they were like, I'll leave the ride if you ride it in the front row. And I said, all right, I'll meet you outside because I'm riding it in the front row. Then they ride it in the front row. What happened at the end of the ride, Brendan? They're laughing, smiling, going, that was a great ride. And they totally forgot that they nagged you the whole time. So, or the person, this is what I got. I have to say this last one. I went to get food, and I went to Culver's. I've never been to Culver's before. So people talk about Culver's, fast food, this and that, and it's just great. So I go to Culver's, and she had said to me, now I was in line for Culver's, and she said, I don't want to go to Culver's today. I want to go to Culver's tomorrow. This is while I'm in the drive-thru. And I said, why would we go to Culver's tomorrow? I'm here today if you want something. And she said, I don't want something today, but I know I'll want something from them tomorrow. And my brain's already spinning. because it doesn't make any sense.
My brain is. I think this is like the African guy meme going. I think my brain just committed suicide.
So yeah. So she said, I don't want it now, but I'm gonna want it tomorrow, and we're gonna go there tomorrow. And I'm like, but I'm here today, and I don't want to go here tomorrow. So just tell me what you want. And she didn't. So I went through this whole thing. I get to the house. Now she's mad at me. She's ignoring me. She's sitting on the couch. So I ate at the kitchen counter by myself. And then after all that, she's like, "Are you gonna come say hello to me?" I was like, "No, don't play it like that. I came into your house. You didn't greet me. So I'm gonna sit here and eat my food because you're obviously in a bad mood." So I eat the food the next day. I'm like, "What do I have to eat?" So I call her up. I said, "Did you eat?" She said, "Yes." She said, "I went, I ate." I said, "Do you want anything?" She said, "No." I said, "All right, I'm going to go get some food." She said, "Go get yourself some food. You will have dinner. We agree we'll have dinner later. You go get yourself some food right now." I said, "All right." So I go over to Culver's. Now, I didn't think I was going to go there 2 days in a row, but I was like, you know what? I'm on the way back. I don't want to stop anywhere off the beaten path. I want to have something that I can't have when I'm home. I like the cheeseburger I got. I'll go get the cheeseburger. So I go back to Culver's and I said, "Hold on a second," and I put her on mute and I ordered at Culver's because I didn't want her to hear that I went there 2 days in a row after she gave me that nonsense about I don't want to go today, but I want to go tomorrow. So I didn't want to continue that pattern of crazy. So I ordered my food. I popped back on. I said, "Hey, what's up?" She said, "Did you just put me on mute?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, I didn't hear you order. So I don't know where you ordered from." I'm like, "What does it matter? You ate. I'm getting food." And she's like, "Well, I wasn't hungry. But if you told me you were going to Culver's, I would have been hungry for cheese curds." I was like, "Wait a minute. Say that to yourself again.
I am so confused.
You're not hungry, but you would have been hungry if you knew where I was going." "Well, if I knew where you were going, then I would have gotten hungry, but I'm not hungry now." And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Then she got mad. She's like, "Why'd you put me on mute? Why'd you put me on mute? Like I was hiding something." I was like, "You're right. I had sexual relations with the drive-through lady in the 37 seconds that I was ordering food." So I come back. She's mad. And she's like, "You need to understand that that's not how you do it. You don't put me on mute. You don't ignore me. You need to promise me that you'll never put me on mute in a drive-through for food again. Not never put me on mute again. Never put me on a drive-through. Never put me on mute to a drive-through."
God.
So if I went to a strip club, I could put her on mute, which I don't do, but I'm just making an analogy. But it's so she said, "You can never put me on mute again when you go through a line at a drive-through because it's disrespectful and you need to know how much you hurt me." Brennan's not frozen, but he's frozen.
I am frozen. In my head, I'm just thinking, what in the hell are you dealing with, dude? My gosh.
Murph, you know? And that was the same girl that the bill came, it's $95. She goes, "Do you want half or the tip?" I was like, "Whatever you feel like." She goes, "The tip." And then she was like, $20. She's like, "Should I ask her for change and give her 18 or should I just give her 20? I'm like, you're not paying half of $95. Give her the $20 and let's move on with our lives. But
oh my God,
dude, it ooh, you know. And I'm gonna tell you something I said in the car because I thought that I could have said this nicer, but I'm gonna tell you what I said to the people out there. I love and appreciate y'all. Don't think I'm a bad person. Well, you can think whatever you want to think about me. I know what I've been through with women. So I was playing music in my car. And we like a lot of the same music. So I'm playing music, we're bopping out to it, having fun. So I play a song. It's a rap song. It was by, I don't even remember who this one was by. It wasn't Big Sean. I don't know. But I was playing a song and she goes, "I don't like it." And I just looked at her and I was like, "I don't care." And then the next song came on and I prefaced it by saying, "This song is one of my favorite songs. If and when I do stand-up comedy, I would come out to Maybach Music too because I love the chorus." And then I played the song. So the song's playing. She goes, "I don't like this. Can we change it?" And I said, "No." And she looked at me and she said something that I don't know why this would be provoked. She looked at me and she said, "I have not liked the last two songs in a row, just so you know." And I thought to myself, Nobody asked you.
Ask me if I care.
Right. And I don't care. And she's like, well, do you want me to be honest, or do you want me to lie, or do you want me to hide the truth from you? I said, it's not lying or hiding the truth. There's honesty and there's rudeness. There's proper etiquette and there's what you're doing. And I said, you play songs I don't like, and I don't sit here and say, just for the record, of the 14 songs you played, 9 of them I wasn't fond of, but 5 of them are jolly good for me. I give them a thumbs up. So what I said to her in response when she said there's 2 songs I don't like is I said, you know, there's other girls I dated that didn't like my music, and I went like this while I was driving. I looked around in my car. I go, where are they at? Where are those girls at? Oh, wait, they're not here either, is what I said. And she's like, that was so mean, and I'll never forget that. And I said, listen, there's a better way I could have said it, but I meant the sentiment behind it. The sentiment behind it is, I like what I like. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not going to change my music in my car, change the hats that I wear, change the sunglasses I have, and pick out the t-shirt that you bought for me. Because I am not Ken, this is not Barbie, and that's not how you live. So I meant the sentiment, but I wanted to get what you thought when I looked around and said, where are them other girls at that didn't like my music? Thoughts, Murph?
Oh, man. I don't know, man. Like I said before, I think my brain just committed suicide.
Yeah.
That's basically where my head was at that entire thing. Just because, like, you know, I mean, I've never experienced something that bad, and I think most guys haven't either. But we can all get a kick out of it.
Yeah, that's the thing, and that's not even all of it. That's just parts. But I mean, the nitpicking, the little the just pick, and I'm like, man, this is not fun for me at all. What did Greg say? Big Midwest. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the last thing Greg said. He goes, the question is, can you expense the restaurant bills for content for 2 mics, no filter?
Which I can.
I'm in for that. I am in for that.
And I will. And that's coming up this Wednesday. Uh-oh. But, yeah, 2 mics, no filter. Let me tell you what I said on the last 2 mics, no filter, because people need to go. Now, it's become its own show. It was a segment on Wake Up Call. It was never meant to be just a segment on Wake Up Call. And you know, it started that way, but I always meant for it to be its own show because it's so different from Wake Up Call. And so Andrea Smith, who's my co-host, she's down in Florida, our second home and our second hub of, you know, my company. So we've been doing this show together. Good morning to Mom. And so we this past week finally decided to air it as its own thing. So you can go to podbean.com. You can go to 2micsnofilter.podbean.com. You can go to youtube.com/@2micsnofilter, and you can catch us there. We've also already been added to Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Podbean, as I mentioned, a bunch of different outlets. I think Boomplay, Podchaser. So you can go check it out. So it's only going to be 2 mics, no filter content. And on the last show, see, I say things in the moment and I forget that I say them. So I'm listening to 2 mics, no filter in my car on my trip. And during my trip, I'm listening to it because I wanted to hear it back and hear how it sounded. I said, and again, I mean the sentiment by what I'm saying here. I said in it, I said, most of my ex-girlfriend's favorite outerwear was a straitjacket, but don't worry, when they were hungry, I was nice enough to take their muzzle off and feed them. Because I was comparing them all to Hannibal Lecter.
Oh boy.
So my conversation has been that you guys agree with mostly everything that I say, but I said my friends would describe me as, we agree with Dan and we think his is hilarious. He's just the crazy one that says it on stage. We say it all in the tour bus. That's how I picture how you guys would respond.
Mm-hmm.
So,
mm-hmm.
But you know what? You guys aren't going to be mad when the drinks on the tour bus are free. So
That's true.
But yeah, man. So yeah, that was my most recent dating. I wanted to share that with you. I felt like the world needed to hear it. With that being said,
So what about Tampa?
yeah. so
Great segue.
I was gonna say, with that being said, I was down in Tampa during these dating escapades, and was down with the Tampa Bay Rays. So yeah, so I would love. I'm gonna open it up to you and let you kind of roll with this here on what you want to know, because I did, and now I've covered Tampa in the past and got credentialed years back when I was living in Florida. Reached out to them again after all this work of the last 11 or 12 years that I've diligently put forward in hopes of building a good portfolio. And the Rays were incredible. Invited me back in, open arms, absolutely awesome. Got to do some really cool interviews, and I'll talk about those. But yeah, so I'm gonna open it up to you, Brendan, because I know you got some thoughts.
Yeah, so I mean, as soon as you sent you posted the picture or the video from outside the Trop,
yeah,
I immediately texted you and said we have to talk about the stadium.
Yeah,
we have to talk about the stadium.
Yeah.
And listen, this is nothing against the Rays organization, because they are arguably the best run organization in baseball, with, again, arguably the worst stadium in baseball. And I know there's rumblings that they're finally looking to get rid of the Trop and build a new stadium, and I really hope they do. For all the Rays fans that are going to home games at the Trop, and I've been there, so I can speak on this. It's not very nice. And granted, it's been almost 8 years since I've been there, but I'm sure it hasn't changed much. The stadium just looks old. It looks run down. There's nothing really unique about it other than the catwalk rings that you see up in the roof. When you drive up to it, the roof is slanted, which I never knew until I actually went there. And I really do hate ripping on their stadium, because I think the team's outstanding, but I feel bad for the fans. I feel bad for the players. I know right now they're trying to figure out logistics of a new stadium, and there's been rumblings about it here and there, and they just haven't been able to get around to it. But when they finally do get a new stadium, I can't wait to go back to Tampa and see it. I really can't. But you got to tell me how the stadium was now, 8 years later since I've been there.
And so here's the thing. I've seen over the last decade, since the last time I had been out there, and Greg agrees with you, Brendan, but there's definitely been changes that have come. Now, when I was there, I don't know, 11, 12 years ago, where I parked was very sketchy. And you're like across from the stadium, but you're like underneath the overpass, and there was like nothing there, and it was sketchy. Now, they have painted more of the outside of Tropicana Field. They have put some more banners and things outside. The parking is better. There's more around. There's more things to do. There's more things that have expanded itself. But when you go inside, yeah, I mean, the stadium looks like the stadium. I mean, that's how it was built. It was built on an incline. It was built that way, obviously, because it's baseball. And so, I mean, yeah, it looks different. Now, there's people that critique, why is it an indoor stadium in Florida? And that's because of hurricanes, ladies and gentlemen, and rain. And so, because most people in their brain, and I've thought this before too, before I really sat down and thought about it, you think you're in Florida. It's nice most of the time. It's nice like 9-10 months of the year. So why not have it outside? Because that makes perfect sense. Well, it does. Until you realize that in the summer, there's a chance of a thunderstorm every day. Sometimes you go for 8 days down to Disney and you don't get one. Sometimes you get 8. Sometimes you get 4. Sometimes it rains for 15 minutes. Sometimes it rains for 3 hours. Sometimes, like it did a couple days ago, it doesn't like rain, but it drizzles, and you think it's done, but it just kind of drips. And it just kind of drips.
Like it's annoying.
Right. It just kind of doesn't go away. It's kind of like when you're standing at a urinal in the bathroom and you think you're done, and you go to zip up, but you're not done.
Oh, God.
It's like that. It's like, oh, there's another drip.
We've all been there.
There's another drip. Oh, there's another drip. And then you zip your pants up, and then there's another drip, and you're like, really? In my pants right now? So that's what some of the days feel like. You can't have a open stadium, especially that close to the water. You can't. Now, you shouldn't. And I understand why they don't. So to the people that are like, oh, I don't like the fact that it's closed, that's the issue. And I get that people don't like that. I understand that. The retractable roof thing, that costs a lot of money, but I understand that. I think Syracuse should have a retractable roof too. This is my opinion. I've said it for many years. Now,
I think there's a lot of stadiums up north that should have retractable. I feel like retractable roofs should become a thing for every new stadium ever built.
I agree.
I mean, we've been seeing it. We've been seeing it with Allegiant Stadium, or is that fully domed?
Allegiant
in Vegas.
Allegiant.
It might be fully domed. SoFi's got a retractable roof.
Let me see here.
Marlins Park's got a retractable roof. You've got, there's a lot of new stadiums that got retractable roofs now. I feel like every stadium should have one because, especially in baseball,
it has a retractable field system.
That part I did know. I actually think it might have a roof. The Diamondbacks do have a good one. Chase Field. Well, is it still called Chase Field? They change these fields' names every 5 minutes. It feels like.
Oh, yeah.
Like Miller Park's not Miller Park anymore.
No, they changed the name.
Comiskey Field isn't Comiskey Field anymore. U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago. I don't know what the heck half these stadiums are called now. Marlins Park, I think, is Lone Depot Park or something.
The Raiders have a translucent roof. It doesn't have a retractable roof, as it is a fully enclosed dome. So
in the desert, I guess that kind of makes sense.
I guess you could do that. Diamondbacks have a nice one, said Greg. But okay. So to get back to the Trop. Now, here's the thing. I have history with the Trop. I like the people that are there, that have stuck around for many years. So I have a history and a connection with it. Now, is it the same as every place? No, it's not. Madison Square Garden, the last time I went there to cover the Big East tournament, to get my credentials, they made us walk around the stadium about 7 times. You walk around. Oh, you got to go to A. Oh, A. No, you got to go to C. Oh, C. No, you got to go over. No, you got to. No. We can't help you. And I went through that. So, every stadium, I think, has its own stuff, right? New York City, Madison Square Garden, it's in the middle of everything. And their security people, which I understand, are sometimes insane. And they make things more difficult than they need to be. Then there's Tampa, where they literally, and I don't know the last time that this happened with me in the media, so I want to shout out the Trop for this and the Rays for this. The place where we park, the lot we park in, is directly straight line from our credential. You park, you walk straight, you get your credential. I don't think that's ever happened to me in any stadium of any sport in my entire almost 20 years of being a broadcaster.
That's awesome.
Where it was like, this is the lot you park in right there. Normally, it's like you park in this lot, and then you go up to all of these workers, and you go, where's the media will call? And you get this. Media will call. Bob, do you know where media will? I don't know where media will call. Sarah, do you know where it is? You know what? Just walk that way. Just walk. And then you end up walking all the way around seeing them again. So I want to give the Rays credit for that. I want to give the Rays credit for the fact that they got a nice little spread. Now there is a difference here with the Rays. You have to pay for it. So if you're in the media, they don't feed you. Well, they feed you popcorn and soda and water. But if you want food, there is a dining hall for the media and for Rays workers. But you have to pay for the buffet. Now, the spread is awesome, but you have to pay. I'm not used to that. I'm used to, like, you go out to, Cowboy Stadium, food is free. Jaguars.
Well, how much are they charging you, though?
$12.
Oh, okay, that's fine. That's not bad.
Right, but so
like if they're gonna charge you $30 for the buffet, like, all right, yeah, it's a little annoying, but for $12, like, all right, like, for a really good spread, that's fine. I can get behind that.
So there is some difference. There is some difference, right? So that's a difference. But I understand. Okay, the stadium looks a little bit older. It's been there for a while. People like new shiny things, but the Trop has a feel to it, and it has a way about it. And being in this business for as long as I have, and being to as many stadiums as I have for as many sports as I have, there's stadiums you go into and you go, okay, this is a new experience. And there's stadiums and arenas you go into and you feel it in you. I don't know, I get that chill in my back and I go, this is different. And the Trop, I took so many pictures, and their ceiling, the way that they have the top of it, like you said, the way that it looks, and I'm gonna see if I can pull up a picture for this. But the way that it looks, it reminds me of, it's reminiscent of Madison Square Garden. So, and it looks like an eye. If y'all can see it, let me get this up here.
Yeah.
Away from the light.
I've never been to the Garden, so I can't, attest to whether or not that's true. But yeah, I mean that from being in there, I went to a 3-game series. My best friend had moved down to Tampa probably, it would have been 9 years ago now. So I flew down to see him, and we went to 3 games at the Trop because the Mets were playing the Rays that year. We saw Jacob deGrom, don't remember who he pitched against. We saw Noah Syndergaard in game 2, and those seats we were literally 5 rows up, field level. And then game 3, Bartolo Colon pitched.
Yeah.
The only game we won was game 1. But that whole experience, I thought, so for me, that was the first time I'd ever, gone anywhere far away from home without my parents, which was weird.
Yeah.
But my best friend Chris, his family was kind of like a second family to me. So what being with them was, it was fine. But I do remember walking around there. I wish I would have been able to go into the race tank, because that was, if there was one thing I wish I would have done down there, that was it. But I mean, ultimately, I remember from that trip, well, for one thing, the morning of the first game that we went to, game 1, the DeGrom game.
Yeah.
We went outside and, tossing around a baseball. We were throwing the baseball around and everything. I couldn't last more than 45 minutes outside because this was in the middle of August in Florida.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't do heat very well, which is why I don't think I could ever live in Florida. And if I ever did, I would have to be like a snowbird or something like that.
Yeah.
Even though I love the snow, just because I can't handle it I don't think I can handle it in summer. I mean, I was down there in October. You remember I was down there in October for that Jaguars-Giants game.
Yeah.
And that it was like 105 degrees that day, or at least it felt like it.
Yeah.
Me and all my cousins, my Uncle George that were down there, were like, we are dying. And I'm going to be down there in September for these guys against Tennessee. I'm really looking forward to that, to see how hot that's going to be. But all I know is after every beer I drink, there's going to have to be a water involved. Otherwise, I'm going to end up getting dehydrated.
No, and that's the thing. I mean, it gets really hot. I got to give it up to Florida for, when I was just down there, it was pleasant. It only got muggy and suffocating the day I was leaving. It was almost like God going, yeah, it's your time to go. You could go.
Must be nice.
But yeah, I mean, it was nice at night. 60s, 70s at night, maybe 85, 90 during the day. But there's been a breeze in Orlando, which is hard to find a lot of the times in the parks because you're in the middle of the state. So
you're killing me, DT.
So, but I needed it. I mean, it was genuinely doctor's orders. My doctor said, I need you to take a month off and I need you to go to Florida. And I've taken a couple weeks and I've gone to Florida and I've staggered them. But so I owe myself 2 more weeks, I guess. But yeah, no, I mean, it's been relaxing. It's been fun. And being at the Trop, to me, listen, I really like the organization. I've met some people in the media that are very kind. They have great people working there. And that's what makes it for me. Now, the Trop, I understand. I understand people's, this about, Like, again, why is it all indoors? Why does it look like this? Why didn't we do this? Why don't we build it? Okay, so I get that. And like I said, new shiny things, and people want new shiny things. But at the same time, you look at the Tampa Bay Rays and say, a lot of people complain about the stadium, arguably, but it's the best team in baseball. So
Absolutely.
there's something to be said about being a Ray. Now, and I got to speak with Wander Franco and Jason Adam, and one-on-one. And those were
How was
wonderful.
Wander?
He was great. He was great. So you can go back and listen to it. You can all go to you can go to wakeupcalldt.podbean.com for those of you that are listening live on the feed right now there. You can go back to our archive. You can also go to my Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, and you can just click on it and it'll play with you from there. And I shared it on Facebook at wakeupcalldt and Twitter at calldt, and I'll share them again. But I mean, that was wonderful to speak with them. I got to do a bilingual with Wander. So,
Would you say it was wonderful?
yes, I would say it was. That's funny when people miss the boat. It's like, how was your interview with Wander? And you're like, terrific. Really? You chose terrific? So, but yes, it was wonderful. And but no, it was a lot of fun. And the clubhouse, they've upgraded the clubhouse from the last time I was there. And so that was cool to go into and see that. See, I've gotten to see it like a decade apart, so I can see some things that they've done and moves that they made. And really, it comes down to the people. The people make it, because there's stadiums that put lipstick on a pig, and the people are terrible. And in the case of the Tampa Bay Rays, the people are wonderful. And there's a different sense. I told you, I get a sensation when I go into certain places, Madison Square Garden, the Dome. And the Trop is one of those places where I just get a different feel. It's a different experience. It's a different thing, and I like it. So I don't have anything bad to say about the Rays, and I don't have anything bad to say about the Trop. I left there saying to myself, I can't wait to go back. I can't wait for the next series that I'm going to cover, and I'm really excited about it. And I got to see a game where they scored 21 runs, which is my favorite number, and it was against the Dodgers, arguably the two best teams in baseball. So that was a really, really fun time. And, I understand that it's older. I do. But there's things that work better in there than work in the Dome, like the internet. So I could appreciate that. I could definitely appreciate
I actually do remember that the internet there was really good.
Yeah. And there's just
thing.
There's just some cool, the graphics are cool. There's just certain things that they do that, I don't know. I'm coming in, and I'm not saying it because, of being credentialed there and working with, I'm always going to tell you the truth, and I understand that there's parts of the building from the outside looking in that look old, that look dated. It looks like, it needs to be upgraded. But like I said, they've painted parts, they've added flags, they've done things with parking. There's places around it now, so there's more life around the stadium. It's easy for the media. There's all of these things that they did that I like. And once you go inside and you come in and you sit down and you see it, my credentials dead center in the press box. And I got to tell you, I don't have any complaints about it. And the air felt clean. Sometimes you're in these indoor places and the air feels stale or just strange. It felt fine. And I felt like I had a better breath in there than I've had in some places outside. So, I don't really have anything bad to say about the Trop. I just think that people want a new stadium because people always want a new stadium.
Yeah, and the big thing that I'll say, and I'll leave it at this, just because we're I'm gonna help you segue here because we're already almost an hour in, and these conversations go ridiculously quick, as you and I both know. But the big difference between the Trop and the Coliseum out in Oakland, what the Rays do, first of all, is put a great team on the field. That's number one. Number two, the people that work there genuinely care about the team. They know their stuff. It seems like Oakland. Now, I've never been to Oakland, so I can't really speak on this, but I've seen a lot of people that have been to Oakland to just say that it's just the workers don't even really care about it.
Yeah.
And that's how you know it's bad. And then three, the organization. The Rays organization's outstanding top to bottom.
Yeah.
from the front office to the media to the players on the field to the coaches, everything. Outstanding.
Yeah.
There's a reason why they're the best. They have the best record in baseball and the best run differential in baseball. Oakland is on pace to be one of the worst teams in the history of Major League Baseball. They are giving the 1962 Mets a run for their money.
Yeah.
And that's saying something.
Yeah.
That team won 40 games in an entire season. That's sad. And the Rays could win over 100 this year. It really is. Now, before we go anywhere, I do have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So you're in the stadium are you in the stadium during batting practice?
So I was not in the stadium for batting practice. I actually left early, like plenty, and I got there early, but they had a security is very tight there right now.
Yes.
And typically with the media, they'll like check our stuff and let us go. They let me not just me, but media in general. They had us take everything out of our bags. She's like, "Do you have anything metal?" I was like, "Everything in my bag is metal. I have about 900 different batteries in my bag." So I was there early, but still didn't get to see batting practice. But yeah, go ahead.
So I was going to ask you if any of those days you were there. So when I was there, from what I can remember,
yeah,
and when they take batting practice, and you know how kids will go out and try to catch home run balls during batting practice, whatever, or adult idiots like Zach Campbell trying to push kids out of the way to get home run balls or whatever. They'll blow the whistles. The security blows whistles to let you know that a home run ball is coming.
Yeah.
I was wondering if they still do that, because that was one of the most unique things I'd ever seen.
Yeah, I mean, and that's so, I mean, I can't answer, but I can say that I don't know. I mean, I felt like the overall experience was really great. I didn't get to see a lot the before. I got to see the after. They had the kids run the bases because it was on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And there was so many people on the field after the game. And that was so cool because like the groundskeepers are like prepping the actual field itself, and then like out in the outfield, everybody's out there. So they had like, tape around it. So it pushed everybody out to the outside, but they were literally taking care of the field while people were out there doing their thing in the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
So they weren't wasting any time doing two things at once. I thought it was good. I mean, honestly, I thought it was a great experience. Now there is some thoughts about a stadium here. Now it says the Rays are working on a deal seeking to negotiate an agreement by the end of the year that would build a new $1.2 billion stadium adjacent to the current Tropicana Field site as part of a massive development of the historic gas plant district. Now, that was something that
I really hope the Rays fans get a new stadium. They deserve it at this point.
So it said we've been focused on St. Pete and we're moving forward. So I want to go back here. So yeah,
because I know there was rumblings that they were going to go to Tampa and then leave St. Pete, but I guess like you're saying, they're gonna stay where they are.
Yeah. So taking a look at this, and so this was back on April 22nd that this was written here. So so we look at this, and I mean obviously they talk about the A's and the A's moving and all of that. So the Rays principal owner Stuart Sternberg said, "Quote: We've been focused on St. Pete and it's moving forward. We continue to have conversations. We talked to people today. We talked this week. So we're working behind the scenes to do everything we can, and we seem to be making progress." End quote. Now, the deal would require two agreements to be worked out. One for the stadium and one for the entire 86-acre project, which includes housing, retail, restaurants, bars, entertainment venues, and is headed up by the global Heinz firm. Sternberg said, quote, "We're working at both and neither one is easy. We have an army of people working on each and there's some crossover," end quote. Now, the deal is the key because I believe their current lease is up in 2027. So this would be 2028. So we'll see what's going to be happening here and where it comes from here. So, I think the Tampa Bay Rays playing now. Number one, for people that haven't been in St. Pete, it's my favorite beach. So, I mean, it is absolutely my favorite beach on the planet as of right now. So, I mean, I have nothing bad to say about it. I love St. Pete. I love the food, love the seafood especially, love the water, love the roads to the water, love the experience, love the hotels, love how nice the sand is, never too hot, never too cold. Love walking on the beach at night by the moonlight. And it's love the putt out there. Love their local restaurants that they have out there. So St. Pete's a special place. And so I want them to stay there, and they're by themselves. So I think that that's important too, and I think Tampa, I mean, you could get too crowded. So I think St. Pete is definitely the way to go, and I like it, and I think it's nice. So hopefully, if they're going to build something new, they could figure something out. And good morning to Alan as well. But there is some, there's a lot of good that comes from being in St. Pete. Now, if you do talk the NFL, what probable rookie led quarterback team will have the most wins this season? Texans, Colts, or Panthers? Okay, so we will tackle that. Brendan and I are going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we got a bunch of different things we're going to be talking about on today's edition of DT and Murphy Inside a Wake-Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll speak on the Mets. We'll speak on Steven Strasburg's nerve damage that could keep him from playing baseball ever again. And we'll also talk about Torey Lovullo's extension as the Dbacks manager, and Tom Brady saying, hey, listen, I'm not coming back. BS. So, but we'll talk about all of that right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. They can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com. to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was, selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Inside of this wonderful week, I had to get all my stuff together here for a little bit of show and tell with Mr. Murphy. We got some, if I come on the screen right now, people are going to be like, oh my goodness. But there's some exciting stuff that I have to share here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora this morning. Had some fun and got some things. And it's time to showcase exactly what those things are. So with that being said, Murph, happy to be here with you on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. DT and Murphy start off every week for you here on Wake Up Call with Brendan Murphy and myself, Dan Tortora, inside of our feeds on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we appreciate you being here. This one is the one that I've been wearing, if you could see it. These are all Invicta. This is a Thanos watch. So it has the 6 Infinity Stones on it. So you see the 6 Infinity Stones for Thanos here. And it's got the gauntlet in the center of it, and it's purple. Murph, so my show and tell for Murph. This one is an all Jaguars one. It is complete. Now, it doesn't have Jacksonville's logo on it, but it is 100% just teal. Everything is teal. Down to like the attachment to connect it here. Every piece of it is teal.
That's sweet.
The next one here is the Punisher. Gold and black, and it has the Punisher's skull on it. So this one here is the Punisher. That was the first one that I ever wore of this collection. Then the next one that I have is the Silver Surfer. And this one I think is the most rare. Now, a bunch of these are limited edition. So on the back, it'll tell me what number it is of the world. So it's kind of like sports cards. And so this one I think is number 8 of 1,000. It was the 8th one ever made. This is the Silver Surfer. And it's all silver.
Okay.
And the surfer is like very subtle in there, which I think is cool. So I had to have that one sized, which that one got sized up correctly. So we got that one. Show and tell, people, for those of you watching and listening right now. Welcome to Show and Tell. The next one that I have And I got some really cool like DC and Marvel boxes too. The next one that I have, I was gonna get a Yoda one, and I couldn't figure out which one I wanted. But this man is my favorite ever. This is the Spider-Man Invicta watch. So you got a big old
That's
Spider-Man
cool.
face on that. And here's my last one, and it's very fitting to the conversation, Brendan. So little did you know that I was prepared for show and tell. For people like, Dan, why are you showing watches on a sports show? Wait for it, because I'm about to bring it all together
Yep.
in one broadcast, folks. Tampa Bay Rays.
Oh, look at that.
A Tampa Bay Rays Invicta watch, all put together here and ready to go, with a giant baseball in the center of it and the Rays logo and all of the colors of the Rays on the silver watch, which I will be wearing at all the games that I go to cover the Rays.
That's awesome.
So that's my show and tell. Murph, what do you got for us?
Well, one of the things isn't graded yet. It needs to be. But I opened a box of Bowman 2023 and got a card out of it. I don't know, just something decent. Little man by the name of Drew Jones. Number 2 overall pick by the Arizona Diamondbacks. And got to send it off to get graded, and it's literally fresh out of the pack. So if it doesn't come back at 10, I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah, and it was so weird on the commercial break. Brendan said he was going to send it to me for free. It was so nice. I appreciate it so much.
Oh my god! I'm trying to think of the stuff I haven't showed yet. This guy I know is going to be up in the majors here shortly, in short order. Ellie De La Cruz. That's Bowman. All of these are pretty much Bowman first, and
yeah,
all of them are PSA 10s. I'm not buying if it's not a 10. I think I might have showed this one already, but here's your boy Wander.
Mr. Franco.
That one. Another guy off the Rays, Shane McClanahan. That's a good one. Number 1 pick from last year's draft, Jackson Holiday. And I think I've shown off a decent amount of these because I think the first time we did it, I had just came back from the show. A couple Brett Beatty's in here. This is a cool one. It's not the most valuable one that I have so far, but Kevin Parada.
Yeah.
Aqua Refractor. This was the Mets' first round pick last year. This is 183 out of 199.
Yeah.
We got 2 Anthony Volpe Mega Box. Those ones are pretty sweet looking.
Yeah, those are cool.
And then a regular Chrome Anthony Volpe. Let's see. Anything else worth showing off? Oh, last one's going to be Yankees top prospect Jason Dominguez. I got another one of these coming, actually, which is going to be pretty cool. But I'm building up the collection again. I'm going to probably start going to shows, seeing if I can, maybe buy and sell some stuff, make a little bit of money off of this. So we'll see.
You know what we should
We'll see how we do.
Let me just throw this at you. I got a lot of cards, and here's the thing. Like I've sold a bunch of stuff on eBay, but I had a really bad experience on eBay with a person that I sold a Jets card to. And the Jets card, I mean, I don't sell things that aren't in good condition. I'm an honest person. And it was like a chrome autograph rookie. And I sold it. And I got a thing that said, and I sold it at like a good price too. And I think it's like $13. I don't know. I just sold it for whatever. And I got a message from eBay saying that the person said it was bent and that like there was a piece of the card that was like ripped up. And I was like, I would have noticed that. So they sent the card back, and then they won the thing or whatever. And so I said, what is this about? And then somebody told me there's like, sometimes people do that. Like they have the card, or they have like the card that they're looking for, and they'll get your card in great condition, and then they'll complain and say that it came like that, and they have the same one, but his had like the rip in it, and then he'll send that one back to me. So he gets to save the money, and I, get back a crappy card. So I mean
That's messed up.
that one experience just bittered me to it. So here's my thought to you, Murph. Would you be open at looking up some stuff here in the Northeast and seeing on the calendar, and then maybe you and I go and we get a booth together at the card show and we put our cards out? Because I got a ton of cards I want to get rid of, but I don't know if I want to do it on.
I'm in. Yeah, I got some stuff that'll go in like a 10-cent box. I got some stuff that'll go in like a 25-cent box, but
yeah.
Then you got the big stuff that'll get sold.
I got some stacks.
This Spencer Strider's only going to get more valuable because he's been absolutely dominant this year. I think I paid $80 for this.
Yeah.
I'm not taking on anything less than $100 for that.
Did I show you this one? Rookie card, rookie patch. And so this is a rookie patch, all like glittered up and stuff. It is a tri-colored patch. Baltimore Ravens rookie autograph Lamar Jackson with the tri-color patch.
You can get some money for that.
Get some dollars for these, but no, I got a bunch.
I'm in.
A bunch of one.
I'm in. I did it with my cousin Mike. I now from my experience last time, we got to make sure that our prices are actually right and not overpriced. Like all my stuff was. But I'll put out like the 10-cent box and everything, and hopefully I'll get rid of some stuff that's just kind of sitting around. I've been working on taking some of my books that I have cards in, taking those apart, pulling the cards out, and gonna put those sort them by team and basically just put them out as 10-cent box or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, like I have a bunch of those where you put a bunch of them together, you put them in a bag, and you say like Jaguars pack, Ravens pack, and all that stuff. I mean, the thing is I went on so you can't see it off screen here, but it's right under me every show here in the studio. I went on like an eBay run, and I just started buying. Like I have Kareem Hunt's tricolor patch autograph. Like I got a bunch of Saquon Barkley rookie cards. I got a Nick Chubb rookie patch auto. I have, Christian McCaffrey stuff. But I just went on this thing, and then I opened packs, and I got a bunch of cards here. I pulled a bunch of autos. I had never pulled an auto before, and then I started pulling a bunch of them. So I got like autographs galore here, and I mean I have all kinds of stuff in here. Depending on whoever you're a fan of and whatever you like. I mean, I have so many different things to sell, and they're literally just like, they're just sitting in here. So, and I'll open a pack, and like this one's numbered, like, DJ Shark for the, those of you that like your Jaguars and whatever. But, there's a ton of stuff that's just sitting here. And so I have that like 10-cent box that you're talking about. I have like the, come and get your Jags, come and get your Bears, come and get your Mets or whatever. But then I also have piles of rookie patch auto, rookie signature on card, rookie signature in, the sticker that's on the card. I have the ones that are numbered really low, like this is one of 80. So, I mean, I want to go to a show because I can sell a ton of my cards that are sitting in boxes in the 10-cent or dollar bin, but then at the same time I can make some money here. And it would be fun to do it because I know that if we're going and hanging out, we're going to eat good food, go to local spots, watch some cool games, and, and then sit at the card show.
Get some drinks too.
Yeah, and I was going to say that. Save it for last because Brendan likes his drinks. But I was going to say,
I like my beer. So if we go up by you and there's good breweries, you got to take me to the breweries.
Yeah, some good drinks, some good clean fun. But no, I mean I'm serious about it because I got a bunch of cards that I want to get rid of.
I'm in. I got a thick stack of cards here that are
let's do it.
That are basically hoarding up some space right now.
And my parents will be so happy if I'm like, hey, Brendan and I are going to go on the road and I'm going to get rid of some of my cards. My mom and my dad be like, yes! So, like, because
I've got cards at PSA getting graded right now. So, I mean, that is one thing that I am hopeful that they all come back with good grades, but I sent those out about 3 weeks ago now.
Yeah.
So they're running about a 65-day turnaround time on those ones right now. So I've got to wait and see their plan for that. I actually want to check up on them and see if they'll give me any updates or if they're just still getting graded at this point.
And I do want to bring everything full circle. We were talking about the Trop, and I am drinking New Rain Tropical Storm, just so people know that. Very good. So with that being said, let's continue on here. Let's talk about your Mets here for a second. We'd love to get your update on the Mets. So let's see. I certainly need the inventory to make it worthwhile. We definitely do. Single Cut Brewery just opened in Syracuse area. So yeah, there's a new brewery that came out. Let's see what this says. I know a guy. Wait, hold on. Let's see here. I know a guy that runs shows in Central New York area. Syracuse does a few high-end shows at the fairground, gets a good amount of... Yeah, there is one coming up at the fair, which was one I was thinking of. So, Greg, shoot over the information if you got it, brother. I always appreciate your tuning in and your expertise and connections that you bring. So, Murph, Mets, thoughts?
Just got swept by the Blue Jays. That is not an ideal... that's not an ideal scenario after just sweeping the Phillies out of New York. We just got swept by the Blue Jays as we head on to Atlanta in the next couple of days. So this week's gonna be tough. I mean, we got Atlanta and Pittsburgh coming up. That's gonna be a little difficult, but they've looked better of late. I will say that.
Yeah.
They did lose 2 or 3 to the Cubs, but then they also just lost 2 out of 3 to the Rockies. I forgot about that. But they swept the Phillies. They just haven't hit. They really have not hit. Lindor's not hitting right now. Alonso, he's hitting all those home runs, but he's still hitting only 230. And then the past Scherzer and Verlander, I was going to say DeGrom for a minute. Past Scherzer and Verlander, pitching staff hasn't been great. Senga's only been good at home, and he struggles with his command. He can't throw strikes when he wants to.
When you say that, it makes
Peterson
me think of
was
Cool Runnings when he goes, when he's like, Sanka, you did? Yeah, man. So I couldn't help myself. I feel like they should play when he's out there. I feel like they should be like, Sanga, you did? And like if there's like a stale spell or something like that, and then something good happens, and then he does, and he says, "No man." So I would love that. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you. I just heard Sanka.
You're good. Yeah, I mean the pitching staff's been kind of brutal, and that was the thing that we thought was going to be the best part of the team. Peterson was so bad he got sent back to AAA. McGill's been meh. Carrasco in his last couple starts has looked better, but the bullpen, outside of David Robertson, the bullpen has not been that good. We don't really have any high leverage relievers outside of Robertson and Ottavino. And Ottavino is a hit or miss guy. He is either going to have a disgusting slider that he can throw where he wants it, and it's like a frisbee and guys can't touch it, or he's going to have zero control over it, throw hanging sliders and get hit 450 dead center or down the left field line. So that's big. That's going to be a big issue for them come trade deadline. We're gonna need to get some high end relievers in here. But I'm liking the kids so far. Beatty's looked solid. He hasn't hit as much lately. Alvarez has been really good since he's come up. So good, in fact, that I believe the Mets are going to be getting rid of Tomas Nido as Elmar Narvaez is coming back to the big leagues after his injury. And Vientos too, but they're not playing him. That's been the issue with Vientos. He's just not playing. But the bats are just ice cold. And they were, especially against the Jays. If you can't figure the bats out in Atlanta, you're going to get swept right out of town. So that's the last thing we need right now.
Yeah, I mean, in the Mets, like, Greg had mentioned in the feed here, and feel free, folks, if you'd like to talk with us in the feed, you could do it on Facebook, Twitter. You could shoot us a message at CallDT, but on Facebook at Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. The live feeds are up. every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you can also go to wakeupcalldt.podbean.com and click on the live and listen there and give your thoughts as well and talk with us in the live feed. So make sure that you do that. I mean, so there's something, I mean, obviously things with the Mets go up and down. It seems to always be that way. But maybe this is a good thing, right? Because the Mets have been known historically in recent history to be the team that starts out really hot and cools off at the end of the year and puts you in that.
I'm hoping it's the other way around.
Yeah.
Please be the other way around.
So that's the hope.
I want to go to the World Series this year.
Yeah, the hope is that it's the other way around now and that we get to see a Mets team that could figure it out and get back on it as they move forward. Speaking of hoping that they get back on it, and in the same division, in the NL East, we have the Washington Nationals. And the Washington Nationals, Steven Strasburg, who's come through Syracuse. Syracuse used to be the AAA affiliate to the Washington Nationals before they have been with the New York Mets. And so Steven Strasburg and Bryce Harper came into town, two of the biggest names to ever come through Syracuse in the baseball world and beyond. Steven Strasburg still has not played. He was put on the 60-day injured list on March 30th because of thoracic outlet syndrome. Now, he's 34 years old. He has not been able to participate in his rehab for over a month and has experienced, quote, severe nerve damage, according to Jesse Doherty of the Washington Post. Now, he was the 2019 World Series MVP. He hasn't appeared in a game since June 9th of 2022. Manager Dave Martinez said this recently over the weekend, quote, everything's still the same. He's shut down right now from baseball activity. I know he's working hard. I can't say exactly what the outcome's going to be. I really can't. But I know that it's been frustrating for him, and it's been an ongoing deal. So for me, I wish Steven the best, and no matter what happens moving forward, I just want him to get healthy, end quote. Now, he signed a 7-year, $245 million contract in December of 2019, so obviously he's still under that contract for the next few years. He has been limited to a total of 31 1/3 innings since signing that 7-year deal in 2019. 31 1/3 innings, that's it. Carpal tunnel surgery on his right hand, ended his 2020 season after 2 outings, and he had 5 starts in 2021 before he went through his thoracic outlet surgery that July. Now, he fought to pitch 4 2/3 innings in Miami last season, but was placed on the 15-day IL 5 days later because of stress reaction of the ribs. Now, he was looking for a comeback, but he did not join the team in West Palm, Florida, remained in the Washington, D.C. area to seek medical attention. So he was trying to come back this winter. Martinez went on to say, quote, he's put the time in, that's for sure. I know in his heart he wants to pitch, and I can't wait until the day that if he does pitch, that he's going to come back and pitch for us. I know the fans want to see him pitch again, but at this point, it's just health related, and it's the same thing. It's the nerve that bothered him, end quote. Now, he hasn't been with the Nationals at home or on the road for games this season. He didn't join the team for opening day because he didn't want to be a distraction. Now, General Manager Mike Rizzo said, quote, there is a rehab process, and right now the process is just simple rest until he regains strength and mobility, end quote. So he attempted rehab in April, but he had pain and discomfort, and that included numbness, pain, and tingling that led to another shutdown. So we'll see what happens as we move forward here. I do want to shout out Central New York and CNS alum Pat Corbin, who is in the rotation for the Nationals, as well as Josiah Gray, who is a Lemoyne Dolphin alum in Central New York, who's in rotation for the Nationals. So a lot of connections to Central and Upstate New York with Strasburg, Corbin, and Gray. But we'll see where we go from here. It's been tough. It's sad. When he had, I think he had the Tommy John surgery, right, a few years ago, that he had something go on.
Yeah, he had 2015, maybe?
And when he
15?
had it,
he had Tommy John,
and I mentioned,
and they shut him down before the end of the year.
Yeah, and I mentioned that because when he had it, it was before it seemed like anybody was getting it. It seemed like it was like isolate. It was like, okay, it's like these 2 or 3 pitchers. And I just remember thinking to myself, God, I hope he gets back. And it's really been like ever since then. that we've been dealing with this, like, here's this phenom, he's young, but are we ever going to see him again? I mean, Strasburg was the name, and the guy that, could go down in history as one of the best pitchers. And then it brings up the question of overuse, and it brings up the question of, should he have played in certain games? Should he have come back as fast? Should they have put him out there? And this is the question. The Steven Strasburg question is not the Steven Strasburg question. It's the question about pitching in general from when you're a kid all the way through the majors. Is rehab process, are guys rushed back? Are they playing too soon? Because in the case of Steven Strasburg, this was a concern of mine. Was he ready? Should he come back? What's going on with his body? And now the question becomes, would he be in the place that he's in right now, if not for some decisions that had been made prior to, either by him or somebody else that clears him to play? Are we witnessing yet another pitcher that shouldn't have been pitching in certain games at certain times that we may never see again?
I don't think so. The thing with Steven Strasburg, I mean, he threw, I think it ended up being 209 innings in the regular season in 2019, and probably another 20 or 30 innings in the postseason. That's a lot of innings.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of guys tend to have like a World Series hangover. The Nationals did in 2020. It happens. Yeah. The Phillies have it right now, 100%. Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, those guys have not been themselves this year. But with Steven Strasburg, the issue in 2020 was the carpal tunnel, was the nerve issue. As soon as you heard nerve issue, this guy's career is in jeopardy. When you have the nerve issues in your wrist and your hand, carpal tunnel, that's not easy to come back from.
No.
As a pitcher, as a person in general.
Yeah.
My mom's got pretty bad arthritis and carpal tunnel in her hands, and she's dealing with that all the time. And I can tell how painful it is based on different things she does. But the thoracic outlet syndrome, there have been, I think, 2 guys who have been able to come back and pitch after having thoracic outlet syndrome. One of them is Adam Wainwright. I can't remember who the other one is, but one of them I believe is Adam Wainwright. Other than that, you've seen some really good pitchers that have succumbed to this injury.
Yeah.
2 of them especially. New York fans know them all too well. Matt Harvey and now Steven Strasburg.
Yeah.
Now Harvey came back to pitch. He was at least able to pitch again, but he was never the same pitcher. So Matt Harvey, the dominant, Dark Knight that the Mets had in New York, and he, Game 5 of the World Series, forced his way back out to the mound in the 9th inning. Mets were up 2-1 or 2-0 and going into the 9th inning. We all know what happens after that. I'm not going to repeat it because it kills me every time I talk about it. Yeah. But Strasburg, on the other hand, having all of these nerve issues, he just sounds like a guy who's never going to be able to come back from this. And the sad part is for the Nationals, this contract is uninsured.
Yeah.
That's the brutal part, because he's, for him, I'm sure he wants to pitch again. He sounds like he loves the game, but for him, he could sit around, rehab, do nothing, and still make $250 million because the contract is uninsured.
Yeah.
The Nationals couldn't get anybody to insure the contract because of the injury history. And now he's going to get all that money, and the Nationals aren't going to be able to recoup any of it.
Yeah.
And it sucks. And he's not going to retire, because once he retires, he's not entitled to the money anymore. So he's going to take that money and run. I don't blame him. But I would love to see him pitch again, because he was electric when he did. He had one of the most disgusting changeups that I've ever seen. But his changeup, his curveball was always really good. He came out of college throwing a 102-mile-per-hour fastball out of San Diego State. And it sucks. It's sad that he's essentially done. And, it's another guy that was a really good pitcher for a relatively short amount of time. And we're going to lose him because of injuries. Another one that comes to mind It's Tim Lincecum, another one. All the like 2 Cy Youngs, 2 no-hitters, was great for about a 5-year period, and then just fell off a cliff. Felix Hernandez, 5, 6, 7 years of being great, and then injuries and underperformance made him fall off a cliff. Sad thing for Strasburg, he's just going to become another statistic.
Well, and the hope is that he's not, and he's been through a lot, and I just pray, for someone who types a lot, and I'm constantly stretching my hands get, tight and whatever, any type, or the way I sit in the studio, sometimes you'll see me like move stuff around like cushion. When you're sitting in a studio for long periods of time, or you're editing and you don't have the right posture, that throws off your nerves. So, I mean, anything that I feel times whatever he feels, I feel bad for him, and more than anything else, I just want him to be healthy and I want him to be okay, because nobody deserves to go through it. Nobody.
I'd love to see him pitch one more time.
I want to see him pitch one more time too. So, God, I love those stories. Love those real life moments that feel like movies. So, God bless you, Steven. We look forward to seeing you soon. Speaking of seeing somebody soon, Torey Lovullo, the manager of the Diamondbacks, has been extended again. So they've extended him through the 2024 season. It's the third straight one-year extension that the longest tenured manager in team history has had. And so we're looking at it. He's heading toward trying to have, in 7 seasons, a 500 record. A playoff experience is in that. So we look at this. He led the Diamondbacks to the 2017 National League Division Series, his first season, and a winning record the next 2. General Manager Mike Hazen stuck with Lovullo after an injury-filled 110-loss season in 2021, and there's been obviously a nice season so far right now. We look back on his time in 2017, the team was 93-69. The next season, 82-80, then 85-77. So you have 3 winning seasons in a row there. Then 25-35 in the COVID year, 52-110 in 2021. Last season, 74-88, and this season so far at the time we're talking 35-25, which ironically is the flip from the COVID year. And they, at the time that we are speaking, are back in first place in the NL West, above the Dodgers. Thank you, Tampa Bay Rays. Because I said, going down to Florida, if Tampa takes care of the Dodgers and Arizona takes care of what they need to, Tampa's going to help Arizona get back to first place, and they are in first place of the NL West right now. They have the same record as the Dodgers, so they're sitting there in first place of the NL West, and it's not the first time they've been there this season. So a lot of good stuff. Torey Lovullo getting extended, getting another opportunity to stick with this team, and looking back on his time and seeing multiple winning records and back to the winning side of things right now, with really the COVID year and then the 2021 season being the tough ones, but everything else a winning season thus far in this one and all the others, except for last season where they went 74-88, which was a 45.7% winning percentage, which was better than what they had done in other years. So I think Torey Lovullo is, I'm happy to have him, and I'm happy to see my team taking care of business.
For sure. And he's always been a guy that in my eyes has been a very good manager. He hasn't had the best of luck down there in the desert, but he's managed some good teams, and that team is young, is talented. Greg mentioned it in the chat earlier. Corbin Carroll having a heck of a season in his first full year in the big leagues. Guy was a former top prospect and has been nothing short of outstanding so far this year. A guy that no one's talking about. Quite literally, nobody is talking about Corbin Carroll, and it stinks because he's such a good player. I have him on one of my fantasy teams, but after hitting just 260 with 4 home runs in sporadic time last year, he's hitting 286, 10 home runs, 25 RBI, scored 38 runs, and has really been the guy in that Arizona lineup. Zach Gallen's been great. That was a guy that they got the trade with the Marlins when they got him in the Starling Marte deal. Yeah. But here's one thing I'll say. The 2021 season, while it was a terrible year for them, it gave them the rights once the Orioles took Jackson Holiday, gave them the rights to draft this guy. So they were able to draft that guy and set themselves up for a really good future because Drew Jones not only is the son of Braves legend Andrew Jones, he's an outstanding ball player in his own right. And I'm really looking forward to how he develops in the Diamondback system. But I'm excited about the D-backs this year. We saw early on in the season, we saw a couple of teams that were standing out as that were not so good last year, but were good to start the year. Pittsburgh Pirates, Arizona Diamondbacks are the two teams that stand out the most.
Yeah.
Pirates came back down to earth. We knew they would. They didn't really have anybody on their team that was, really that good outside of Mitch Keller. The Diamondbacks, on the other hand, Zach Gallen, Corbin Carroll, that lineup is solid.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to hold on. I don't know if they're going to hold on to first place, but I do see them making the playoffs. Absolutely.
And Greg asked me at the beginning of the season, 65.5 wins over under, and I said over. And I said
they're halfway there.
Yeah, and I said don't be surprised. I think I said don't be surprised. I think they can get to like 90. So we'll see. But
they're on pace.
They're definitely on pace for it. But I believe, and Greg, you could check the tape because I know he'll call me out if I'm wrong here. I believe I said they could get to 90. So, and you got to look at it, Corbin Carroll, as you mentioned him, and thank you for doing so, and so did Greg in the feed here, 10 home runs in 57 games, meaning that if you look at it like this, a fifth or a sixth of the time, so you look at this and say to yourself, okay, if they're, it's like every 6 games hitting a home run. So not too shabby here for Corbin Carroll, and happy to see the play that he's got. And we're going to take a step aside for a fast break. I do want to let people know this. We're going to keep on the field, but we're going to switch fields to football. We got some things coming up. Tom Brady says he's not coming back. And I guess Greg's thinking about if I said 90. I believe I did. You go check the tape. But Tom Brady is coming. Well, a conversation about that is coming up. We're also going to be discussing a question that we received, which what probable rookie-led quarterback team will have the most wins this season? The Texans, the Colts, or the Panthers? So asking about C.J. Stroud with the Texans, Anthony Richardson with the Colts, or Bryce Young with the Panthers. We'll talk about those things right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets life. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to K9 Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, hanging out with you where sports meets life, and of course it's Monday, which means it's DT and Murphy time, and Brendan Murphy here with me, picture in picture around the country and the world. So happy to be here with you on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, thank you for being with us live on the East Coast, the West Coast, the Midwest, and all around this spinning rock that we call Earth. So much appreciation and much love as always. Once the shows go live, including this one, you could find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube, as well as many of our specials that were saved on MixLR. All you have to do is go and search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on your favorite podcasting platforms, and you will find us there. With that being said, switching fields from baseball to football, Tom Brady says he's not coming back. Do you believe him, Brendan?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I do believe him. Now that he is going to be a part owner of the Raiders, I think he is. I think he's done. I do, and I think the way that it was handled last year, had he been the one to announce his retirement and the media not gotten to it before he did, I think he would have stayed retired.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah.
So now that he made the decision, he broke the news on Twitter himself, I think he's actually done this time. And the thing is, I think last year's unretirement
Yeah.
might have ruined his marriage. So I think now he's at the point where he saw that and he just wants to spend more time with his kids. So I think he's ready to do that. And I think he's ready to be a dad, to be anything but an NFL quarterback, and move through this next phase of his life and enjoy it. I mean, he's always going to be around football.
Yeah.
He's still got the deal with Fox there was rumblings that it was falling apart, but he's still got the deal with Fox as far as we know. So he's still going to be there. So he's still going to be around football. He's just not going to be playing anymore. So he's just not going to have to put his body through these things. The man's 46 years old.
Yeah.
I think it's time. I think he's entitled to retiring. He owns every record a quarterback can ever look to dream of holding in the NFL, and most of them will probably never be broken. So I think he's okay.
Yeah.
He made a ton of money over his career. He's got a ton of money waiting for him at Fox.
Yeah.
So good for him. I'm looking forward to seeing him in the booth.
Yeah, and I think that's, I think he's done. I do agree with this. And the whole, like you said, would he have been done if, he was put in a situation where, he was actually telling his story, and it wasn't other people telling his story, would he have been done? So that's a question too. But now with him being done, I think, obviously it's time. 45 years old, bought a minority stake in the Raiders and inked a deal with Fox to become a broadcaster. So we'll see where we go from here. But the Tom Brady stuff, it's going to keep coming up. Of course. They're going to keep saying it, like Michael Jordan, like,
especially with the Jimmy Garoppolo thing going on right now.
And Barry Sanders and all this, like, okay, he's a minority owner. Will he leave, the boardroom for the field again? And yada, yada, yada. Listen, he's a fantastic player. He's the winningest quarterback ever. But, Tom Brady is always going to be the topic of conversation because he just is. That's just how life is. And that's what happens. They're going to give him that.
The dude won 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah. So they're going to talk
He has
about him.
more Super Bowls than any single team has ever won.
Right. So they'll continue to talk about him, and they'll continue to get his thoughts on everything. And that's just how it is. That's just how it is, and that's just how it's going to be. So Tom Brady not coming back. Okay. So, I think we can agree that is the case.
Simple as that. Yep.
Yeah, and close that door. And in all jokes aside, with anybody that wants to say anything about anything, I hope that Tom can figure things out and have a good life and an amicable life with Giselle and with the children. And hopefully, things can work out. I know what it's like to go through a divorce. I don't wish it on my worst enemy, and so I hope that whatever Tom is going through, that he finds peace, Giselle finds peace, and that, people always say do it for the kids. I hope that everybody wins in this thing, not just the kids. I hope the whole family wins in this. So, speaking of winning, we've been asked the question to decide of these 3 teams that could be led by a rookie quarterback this season: in the Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young, the number 1 overall pick, the Houston Texans with the number 2 overall pick, C.J. Stroud, and the Indianapolis Colts with the number 4 overall pick, Anthony Richardson. Which one of these teams we envision having the most wins this season if led by these rookie quarterbacks? I will defer to you first and get your thoughts, Brendan. Who is it? Carolina with Bryce Young, Houston with C.J. Stroud, or Indianapolis with Anthony Richardson that will have the most wins in 2023-24, and why?
That's a good question, and I've been trying to wrap my head around it since I saw it in the comments section. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I'm gonna kind of think out loud for this part, just because maybe my speaking out loud will help me decide, because I still don't know.
Yeah.
You got to look at the teams that have the best defense. So if I'm gonna go pull up the NFL stats and total defense from 2022. So give me 1 second to do that. And I'm just going to go in and see who had the best defense as of last year. So Houston was 30th. Is that in points? No, it's total defense. That's yards per game. So Houston was 30th.
Yeah.
Then Carolina was, they're not actually numbered, but it looks like about 25th or 24th. And then you keep scrolling up a little bit. You got Indy right in the middle of the pack. Indy's defense was actually not too bad last year. It really wasn't. And, you know, ultimately looking at that team, it hasn't changed all that much.
Yeah.
They still got some good young defenders out there. Houston, we all know, has been a train wreck.
Yeah.
They won a game which cost them Bryce Young. They ended up with CJ Stroud. Now, they did well for themselves in the draft. They were able to go and pick second and third. They got they got CJ Stroud and then arguably the best defensive player in the draft. So, realistically, their defense got better too. I don't know so much about Carolina. They gave up a lot to go get the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
They don't have DJ Moore anymore.
Yeah.
They don't have any weapons for Bryce Young to throw to.
Right.
That's scary. Their run game's only okay. Chuba Hubbard is, no Christian McCaffrey.
No.
He's only okay. So I'm going to rule out Carolina. I don't think Carolina is going to be winning anything this year.
Yeah.
I think it's Indy. I do. After talking myself through this.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, for me, I knew Richardson was going to have some good weapons. You got Michael Pittman. Who is their tight end? That's Mo Alley Cox is a solid tight end. I think he's still there, right? Solid O-line. Still got Jonathan Taylor running the football. It's a good offense. And you've got Anthony Richardson now, who is electric with his legs. I don't know if I would have said this 2 weeks ago, but then I keep reading that he looks great in training camp. He looks great in camp. He looks great at OTAs.
Yeah.
He's actually throwing the ball well. That's the key with Anthony Richardson. If he can throw the football well, they're going to be successful. They really are. And I hope he does, because I think I might have mentioned in the a couple of weeks ago when we did, or shortly after the draft, that I was able to get him and Bijan Ryan in the first round, Bijan Robinson in the first round, and I was pumped.
Yeah.
I gave up a lot to go get him.
Yeah.
Especially Bijan. But I got Anthony Richardson too. And last night, just for the hell of it, I keep seeing rumblings that Darnold's going to end up starting for the Niners and seeing some hot takes that he's going to take him to the Super Bowl. Well, I had a free spot on my roster. I figured, why not? Let's see.
Yeah.
I picked him up. I picked him up for $1 and I dropped Van Jefferson. Van Jefferson hasn't really done much.
Yeah. That's
So on my roster, I got Richardson as a backup quarterback. I got Trevor Lawrence, who I know you love, Mac Jones, Mike White, who will probably start at some point for the Dolphins this year, I would think.
Yeah.
Kyle Trask, who it looks more and more like he will be the starter for the Bucs, because apparently Baker Mayfield has looked terrible during OTAs.
And I have gone on record with Papa Joe saying that Trask should be the future after Tom Brady and spending a couple years underneath him. So
thank you. I love Kyle Trask. He deserves to start.
Just saying.
He almost won the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
He almost single-handedly beat Alabama. I mean,
Yeah.
realistically, that team would have been off the chain awesome if they didn't lose to LSU. If Marco Wilson didn't throw the shoe against LSU. Gators fans still hate him for that to this day. Because I think any Florida fan can attest to this, and any college football fan that disagrees, I think should figure things out and check on this. Had Florida not lost to LSU in that game, had they won that game,
Yeah.
and played Alabama as tough as they did, lost by 6, they would have been the first 2-loss team to make the playoff. Without a doubt. Because I believe it was either Notre Dame or Oklahoma that made it as the 4 seed.
Yeah.
They were not good football teams.
No. And
not good.
And the thing is
a 2-loss Florida team would have been better than those two.
And I argue.
And yeah, they would have probably played Bama again.
Yeah.
They would have probably played Alabama again in the first round, which they could have put them at 3 to prevent that. And had them play, I think it would have been Ohio State. But realistically, that team deserved to be there. They didn't make the playoff because some idiot on the team decided to throw a guy's shoe on a play that ended the game.
Yeah. Yeah. But
that play still kills me.
Well, and the thing is what you said. I mentioned that back then. I said Florida was on pace to make it. And I said with 3 losses, they can't argue it. But with the 2 losses and who they lost to, like they could put themselves in a position where they could do it. And I thought they were going to. So
they literally lost to Texas A&M, who was number 5.
Yep. And they lost
and the number 1 team in the nation, Alabama.
Yeah.
And they lost those 2 games by less than 10 points combined.
Yeah. And so I did make the argument that year that a two loss Florida team was better than seeing Notre Dame in that college football playoff by far. So
absolutely,
I'm not going to disagree with you on that. So you're going with Anthony Richardson will win more games with the Colts than
you could say that's a homer pick for me as with him being a former Florida Gator.
Yeah.
But like I said, I just basically walked through my thought process.
Yeah, you did.
And all of it was about defense.
Yeah.
Indy's defense, with the weapons that Richardson has around him, he is in the best position to succeed versus the other 2. Bottom line. He just is.
Yeah. Well, so my thoughts now to take a look at this. So you're going with Anthony Richardson, and you gave your argument. Now I'm putting it up for everybody that's here. I'm putting it up for you. It's already on our Twitter account @CallDT. That's CALLDT. So thank you, Greg, for the question. Already up there on Twitter, and the early voting is for CJ Stroud. So just so y'all know. And the Texans, but I'm putting it up here on Facebook as we speak as well, so you can vote. And I hope that y'all do. Definitely give your choice. It's up there on Facebook @WakeUpCallDT, and it's on Twitter @CallDT. So make sure that you vote. The question, once again, of these teams that have a rookie quarterback, which team led by the rookie quarterback do we believe will have the most wins in the rookie season for these guys? The Panthers with Bryce Young, the Texans with CJ Stroud, or the Colts with Anthony Richardson? So make sure you vote now. It's up on Facebook once again @WakeUpCallDT and on Twitter @CallDT. And we have more votes coming in here on Twitter, which have now brought Anthony Richardson into the fold. So with that being said, I will give you my thought process, as Brendan has chosen Anthony Richardson. So Greg said, I'll absolutely say you've been on the Trask train for a while. Yes, I have. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Been on that since he came into the league, actually. So the Carolina Panthers, I'm going to start with them because they had the number 1 pick, Bryce Young. Now, they did bring in Miles Sanders from the Philadelphia Eagles to help Chuba. They brought in Adam Thielen and DJ Shark Jr. to help, and Laviska Shenault. Here's the funny thing about the Panthers and the Jaguars. They both came into existence in the NFL in '95, and the Panthers have 2 former Jaguars picks in DJ Shark and Laviska Shenault. So the 2 teams that came in at the same time are now both have featured these young wide receivers, and Laviska Shenault, who never caught on in Jacksonville, and DJ Shark, who really never caught on in Jacksonville. So they're both there. Hayden Hurst, who's been all around the league, he is there in Carolina now as well. So you looked at the defensive side. I'll look at the offensive side. Bryce Young has some more weapons here. He's got Miles Sanders if he could stay healthy. He's got Thielen, Shark, Terrence Marshall Jr., and Laviska Shenault. Somebody's got to step up. Nobody's a household name yet. Adam Thielen's the closest thing to it. And Hayden Hurst, will see what he can do. So of this group and of these weapons, it is a step up from what guys had recently in Carolina. So I do like that on the offensive side. On the defensive side of the ball, there's nothing here that scares me about Carolina. And that is something that we really have to look at. You know, when you look at the defensive statistics, as you brought up, Carolina, to me, are they really a threat defensively? And I would say no. And you have to look at who they're going up against. So in their division of the NFC South, they got to face the Saints. And the Saints now have Derek Carr running the show. And the Saints have added some talent with Chris Olave and so on and so forth. And Alvin Kamara is obviously still there. So you have those things with the Saints. With the Tampa Bay Bucks, it's a question mark of what they're going to do, but their defense has strength. And they could be the best harassing defense that we're going to see Carolina face in the NFC South. And then you have Atlanta, who's had an upgrade at a bunch of their positions. So I think that they'll be okay. So I think there's a lot to be said about that. Now, with the Carolina Panthers last year, as you had brought up, you know, Carolina, as far as the total points that, you know, they allowed per game, the Carolina Panthers allowed 22 points a game. They allowed in rushing yards, to look at this, 122.6 rushing yards a game, over 220 passing yards a game. So they allowed over 350 yards per game. Now, in points per game that were allowed, they were in the bottom part of the NFL, somewhere toward the middle, toward the bottom, 22 there in what they allowed per game. The best team was San Francisco, who allowed 16.3, Buffalo 17.9, Baltimore 18.5 in defense. So there's something to be said about that. So is Carolina's defense a threat? I don't think so. And offensively, they did make some upgrades, so I will mention their offense. Now, when we go to Houston and take a look at C.J. Stroud, Dameon Pierce was the best part of their offense last year. The only guy I told you to play in fantasy, outside of a couple moments with Brandon Cooks, which I said reluctantly, has been Dameon Pierce. Dameon Pierce is the guy that you play. And he continues to be that. They now have Devin Singletary and Mike Boone, who I covered at Cincinnati, who used to be with the Minnesota Vikings. So, Robert Woods, Nico Collins, John Mechie III, who was a rookie last year. I mean, there's really nothing to write home about with these guys. There's no household name. They did steal away Dalton Schultz from the Cowboys, which I'm surprised the Cowboys let him go. So C.J. Stroud doesn't have the weapons on a team that I think is probably going to look like a typical rookie quarterback-led team in the sense of they're going to struggle. This could look like an expansion team this year. So I'm not
literally.
I believe that. And by the way, they were an expansion in 2002. So we're talking 20 years later, looking the same. 20 years plus later here, looking the same. So I'm not a fan of that. And so I can't say that Carolina's defense is a threat, but their offense added weapons. In C.J. Stroud's world, I don't think there's been a lot of weapons added on offense or defense. I do like that they have Will Anderson Jr., that they also drafted here, taking Arizona's pick at number 3. But when you go to the Colts and you have Jonathan Taylor, arguably the best running back in football, you add in Zach Moss to help him out. You have Michael Pittman Jr., one of the best wide receivers, young wide receivers in football. Alec Pierce, who stepped up, who I covered at Cincinnati. You have those guys, and then, you have question marks at tight end. And then you look at defense, Zaire Franklin, who I had at Syracuse, 7th-round pick, totally disrespectful. The man fought to be a starter. Now he's a captain on the team. When I look at Indianapolis, comparative to Houston, who I said looks like an expansion team this year, and Carolina, whose defense is no threat, it's not that I think Indianapolis's defense is a major threat, but it's that Indy could be in certain games last year, even though their team has been reeling since the loss of Andrew Luck. They have brought in quarterbacks and brought them out like underwear. Now, some people don't change their underwear. I'm speaking to the people that do change their underwear. If you don't change your underwear and you're listening to this show, please, there is no such rule as putting them inside out and it's a new underwear day. that is
That's nasty.
it's gross. That's nasty. It's not what it said, but it is. It's gross. It's detestable.
That's nasty.
And it's not right. So please change your underwear. For those of you that do change your underwear and know what I'm talking about, that's been the Colts since Andrew Luck decided to unceremoniously leave football at 29 years old. So the Colts last year brought Houston to overtime, played a close game within 3 to Kansas City at home, played a game within 7 to Tennessee at home. And then you look at some of these other games on the road at Tennessee, lost by 9, lost to Washington by a point, lost to Philadelphia by a point in a 17-16 game at home, lost to the Steelers at home by 7. And so there was these games that they were in. At Minnesota, they went to overtime, lost 39-36. So this is an Indy team that I think the addition of Anthony Richardson can show the dividends quickest, more quickly than any of these other two teams. So I'm going to pick the Colts as well because of the weapons they have, because of Jonathan Taylor, because their defense, I think, has better... their defense to me is more threatening than Carolina or Houston. So I think when you look at everything and you break it down, to me, Carolina, no defensive scare. Houston, no defensive scare. Colts, some defensive scare. Carolina got more weapons. Houston got no weapons except for Dameon Pierce. And I think that Indy's has some weapons and some really good weapons. So I think that overall, when you look at it and you look at offense and defense, the upgrades or what they have is better for the Colts than it is for Carolina. Indianapolis's offensive weapons that return are better than the upgrades by Carolina and better than anything in Houston. And of three defenses that I'm not wowed by, I think that Indy is a threat. So based on all of that analysis and looking at the rosters here in real time, it's Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson will have more wins as the starting quarterback for the Colts than C.J. Stroud for Houston or Bryce Young of Carolina. I agree with you. In my own path there, we agree. And so Brendan and I have chosen Anthony Richardson over Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud based on the parameters of this. The early voting is 50-50 between Stroud and Richardson, and you can vote right now on Twitter at CallDT and Facebook at WakeUpCallDT. Any final notes that you'd like to make, Brendan, before we wish everybody a wonderful day?
Not really. I do want to shout out real quick, though, my high school principal, Mr. Lyons. 52 years he spent at Notre Dame of East Strasburg, and he officially announced his retirement this week. So I made a comment on the Facebook post, but I do want to wish him a very happy retirement. Well-deserved, many years as a Spartan there in East Stroudsburg, and was amazing for me. I mean, I've seen him. Whoa. I've kept in touch with them for the years that I've been gone. I covered games at Notre Dame, against Notre Dame, and it was always great to see him and catch up. And he is close with everybody. And even though we may not have been the biggest fans of him in school, we all loved him for things that he did. So, Mr. Lyons, if you're listening, thank you for everything in the 5 years that I was at Notre Dame. And I wish you a very happy and healthy retirement. Well-deserved. And enjoy it, sir.
Yeah. So a very special and happy retirement to Mr. Lyons there. And God bless. And a wonderful way to bid Murph adieu on this edition of DT and Murphy to start off your week on Wake Up Call. First full week of June. Murph, as always, I appreciate you. And I'll see you next Monday.
Sounds great. See you then.
Coming from Brendan Murphy once again in DT and Murphy here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life. Can't thank Murph enough for being a part of this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Ice cream, fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you where sports meets life. Want to thank you for tuning in on youtube.com, facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com around the world. Once the shows go live, you can find them in Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube, as well as Boomplay and Podchaser. You can find them all there, so make sure you search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, and download our show from your favorite podcasting platforms today. And also make a note that Two Mics No Filter is now available on its own channel, twomicsnofilter.podbean.com, and on youtube.com /@2micsnofilter. I want to thank all of our incredible partners, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mother's Cupboard, where we have our own sandwich. The exclusive Cuse McMother is available on site, on location, only at Mother's Cupboard, 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York, 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. My spin on the breakfast sandwich: bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and eat it with syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich today. PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, 317 at Montgomery Street, the home of the exclusive series Downtown with Dan, where I get to taste test the amazing menu at 317 and let you know what's up and what you should come in and get. Chick-fil-A Watertown, Avicoli's, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Clay and Chick-fil-A Cicero, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn, factory. And I want to give a big time shout out to Carvel DeWitt. Go back to them for a second as we have unveiled the DT Dolphin My Own Sunday in connection with Carvel DeWitt and the Lemoyne Dolphins. Go there to get the exclusive Lemoyne Sunday, the DT Dolphin, on site, on location. Mint chocolate chip ice cream with that green dolphin color. Awesome flavor. Hot fudge, whipped cream, a cherry, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream in your sundae. You can get it 7 days a week exclusively at Carvel DeWitt on 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York, right down the road from Lemoyne College. Head out and get the DT Dolphin today. Big time thanks to all of our incredible partners and, of course, being the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The Dolphins coming to you every Wednesday during Dolphin Time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, featuring AD and DT on the first and third Wednesday of each month with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, future Dolphins, alumni, and administration. You could find our series with the Dolphins by going to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com for our library of wonderful shows and specials, and of course by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information, go to lemoynedolphins.com, and as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. The Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month on Wake Up Call exclusively, and you can find our stories with student athletes, administration, and coaches all throughout the year by going to the BSC Syracuse tab for our library of our specials with the Bobcats. And of course, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt for all of our Bobcat content. Stay close to our social media to find out the next time the Bobcat Buzz will be coming to you to tell the stories of these fantastic teams, national champions in men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball making it to the national tournament, and the inaugural season of baseball, as well as the come-up of esports, all on site, on location, on James Street at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com, and as always, go Bobcats. With that being said, I want to thank my co-host, Brendan Murphy, for DT and Murphy. I want to thank you for listening and watching. And, of course, find us on Facebook 24/7 at WakeUpCallDT, Twitter at CallDT, and Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT. God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon. And I cannot wait to share this week with you. I pray that you always do what you love and love what you do. And if you're not, that you'll start doing that today. Be safe. Be kind. Be positive. And remember, life is as good as you choose to make it. And I appreciate you so very much. Have a great day, folks. And God bless you all. Take care.